capital, Stockholm. Minister, thank you so much for being our guest on Talking Europe. I just want to start with some of the news from the Hungarian parliament in the last few days, where, as you know, MPs have been debating your country's application to join NATO, and Prime Minister Orban says that you need to have some serious discussions together. So I'm wondering, what are those discussions going to focus on, and are you willing to give some concessions to Hungary in return for Budapest's support for you to join NATO?
So when it comes to NATO process, as you know, Sweden has quite rapidly changed our view during the last spring, and voted in the Swedish Parliament. Almost every party voted to be a member of NATO. So that is of great importance for us in Sweden and in Finland for our security, and also. And I've been impressed, and I'm very happy to hear that almost every country in NATO has said yes to our application, and it remains 2 countries, as you know, and but we are hoping, and the talks are going forward in this issue. So that is one process. So I'm glad that Hungary is now having a discussion in their parliament, and I hope that they will have a vote shortly. I don't know when.
But the foreign minister says that there are unfounded lies about the state of Hungary's democracy and rule of law. It's like looking for some sort of deal with that. On the rule of law issues, perhaps you have stronger support for Hungary funding, and you could back your NATO bid. Is that a formal quid pro quo that you see?
These processes as different processes. The NATO process is the negotiations that we do with NATO, and when it comes to the rule of law, that's another process that we deal with when it comes to the General Affairs Council, which I lead. So I see that it's 2 different processes, and maybe 3 even, because when it comes to the funding, it's even another process.
Just one quick follow-up question on NATO, because you mentioned the other country, which is Turkey, of course, and you changed your anti-terrorism legislation through constitutional amendment, which the Swedish government said was a big step, and yet still the Turkish foreign minister says Sweden has not done enough. Has there been some sort of informal agreement between Presidents Erdogan and Putin? Because something is clearly still blocking things on that track, on the Turkish track.
I don't know that, because from a Swedish perspective, the things that we agreed on, the previous government and Turkey and Finland last year, and so now it's up to Turkey to take their decisions.
Let's come on to the latest package of sanctions on Russia. I just wonder if you could take us through the latest on circumvention, the dialogue happening with, for example, the Gulf states, headquarters. If you could just set out some of those discussions.
Very low. I show that possibility as the strength to move forward and keep making these sanction packages. The Council of Justice and Home Affairs are going to discuss how to make the sanctions more effective, and also circumstances that we can not go around them. But that will be they are discussing it, and they will continue to discuss to make this happen.
Let's talk about President von der Leyen's upcoming visit to Washington and Ottawa. Obviously, the EU does need unity on this question of subsidies, and yet a group of EU countries has just written to the Commission President and the Chief of the EU Council saying a short-term response to the energy crisis could distort the level playing field. So they're clearly really concerned about equal access to national European industries. This is a letter signed by Finland.